Did you find, as a leader, that you needed to change your way of thinking about people and processes in order for this to flourish within your organization? And if so, can you give some examples? And particularly I'm interested in you sharing what aspects of that personal change that you struggled with.
I'm a control person, and I like to have my fingers in every pie, and you can't do that. And that was very hard for me to let go and let the operators come up with their own improvements and make their decisions. Now, I didn't agree with them all the time. You know, I had my own ideas, but my ideas aren't the only ideas. As long as they were moving in the right direction, and you're not going to go for 100%, and I think that's what we always try to do in our position. We want to be at 110%, 100%. Well, if you can get 80 today, you're better off. And go for small changes rather than the big projects. You're much better off having 15 small ideas that come off the floor that don't cost you a dime than putting in that $100,000 machine that's going to be the silver bullet, because that isn't the case, and that isn't what Lean's about. It's about the small changes that come from the floor.
When I joined, the on-time delivery was at about 80–85%, which was a big problem for the business, and I immediately suggested and sort of demanded that we begin to shoot for 100% on-time delivery. And I only realized when I applied that back to Lean that that was not necessarily the right answer. The idea that it's so easy and knee-jerk and sort of automatic to say I want to exceed my customers' expectations and I want to deliver on time 100% of the time. Very hard to step back and say that those aren't necessarily the right answers. That I want to meet my customers' expectations, not necessarily exceed them if that is wasteful or expensive, and really peeling back the pieces of the on-time delivery issues to understand what the cost is to get, say, from 85% to 90%, but then understand the cost of getting from 90 to 100. And if the cost of getting from 90 to 100 is so great, and you're not losing customers, and customers are still okay if they receive their product 2 or 3 days later, that 100% on-time delivery is not necessarily the right answer in and of itself until you figure out how you can get there by changing processes, not by paying more to expedite delivery for raw materials or something like that. That was really hard for me. Because I immediately wanted to go for everything without really understanding the incremental cost associated with that until we looked at it in a lean way. So that was a big lesson.
Change management in an organization is incredibly hard. One of the biggest problems we had, and I think the biggest mistake I made, was the middle managers, the supervisors, are the folks in the middle who often get neglected in the process. So all these ideas of bubbling up from down below and senior management's on board and looking and trying to help and trying to get, and the middle managers and supervisors, we often, we're putting them through the same training, but we often leave them unsupported. And so I know that I made mistakes there, and I still haven't figured out what I'd entirely do differently, but I know I would work on that really hard to figure out how to support those supervisors and middle managers in a better way.
It is a lifestyle. I mentioned that it's a lifestyle change in how you manage the business, and it can't be, again, just from a CFO's perspective, looking in on how an effective CEO would operate. It can't be when I say, oh, today's Thursday, it's lean day, I better look in and see how things are going. Because the CEO has other breadth of responsibilities across the organization. Outside, inside, depending on your structure, depending on your ownership, they can be pulled in a lot of different directions. But I think that's the toughest thing that I've seen, is to have it part of a lifestyle where it's not something I got to check the box. I did my lean thing today or this week, and then I'll wait until next week because I get other things of distraction. Somehow it has to move to the top of your again, the way you run your business, the way you operate as a CEO, it's just part of your mindset, if you will, and not just something that you check off the box, or else it's going to lose momentum. And if the people from below see that the CEO is getting distracted and not focused on it, they certainly will do the same over time.